So we finally got a response from the WNBA in a counter proposal to the players. And man, this story gets funnier and funnier. So here's the headline from Front Office Sports: WNBA owners make small concessions in the latest CBA proposal. The league's newest offer includes some housing for players in the first 3 years of the CBA. So they sent the union this new proposal Friday night. So this was yesterday. In its latest proposal, the league made marginal changes. So not a whole lot to its proposed revenue sharing percentage. Sources familiar with negotiations told Front Office Sports, according to these same sources, the league is still proposing the same revenue sharing system. I love it. The owners in the league are telling the players, this is the offer. Either you accept what we have, or you can go on your little strike and cause a huge chain of events where other players who can't survive without the WNBA are going to get upset, begin to start to criticize the union and say, like, let's get a deal done. Look, I understand you want a high revenue share, but we need to get paid. Oh man, I love it. And it should happen. It's a wake up call for the players who are trying to get this 30% revenue share. It's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. So the WNBA's proposed revenue share percentage still does not meet or exceed 15% of total league revenue, sources told Front Office Sports. Additionally, the league has re-engaged with the union's push for team-provided housing in a limited capacity. The union previously proposed 2 developmental player roster spots per team, which the league conceded to in its last proposal. Good. Add some more players. I think that's important. These players will only be eligible to play a certain number of games and will receive a check for each game they play in addition to a stipend. They will also have access to certain benefits like housing and medical. I think that's very nice of the league. I mean, they're give you housing, health insurance. That's nice. The WNBA is proposing studio apartments for these players. Oh my gosh. So the players can't pay for their own place? Come on now. Oh Lord. One bedroom apartments will be provided for players signed to the league's proposed minimum salary. By the way, it goes up in a CBA. And players with 0 years of service, but only for the first 3 years of the proposed CBA. In 2029, the one bedroom offering will be removed. If a player is paid any amount over the league's proposed minimum salary, they will not be eligible for a one bedroom apartment, as they shouldn't be, because if you're getting a nice little contract, you should be all right. So before Friday's offer, the league was proposing a max base salary of just over $1 million and an average of $465,000. Now, if you can't live off that, I don't know what to tell you. That's up from $249,244, and that's in roughly $102,000 respectively. So you're gonna get an increase, and I'm wondering the players who are rookies who haven't come into the WNBA yet, or players who can't survive without their money, are they looking at this going, let's not make the deal. I don't know. Let's drag it out somewhere. Let's go on strike. I think they're actually starting to have conversations about, you know what? Let's have this deal done. It's just crazy because they've done everything at this point. The league is giving the players what they want. In my opinion, you're going to have medical insurance. You got your housing paid for, it looks like. You're getting a massive raise. So, what is there to complain about at this point? You just look very entitled and you're acting like a bunch of brats, acting like people around the world are watching the WNBA. No, they're not. People don't pay much attention here. You're not that big. Hate to say, you can go on Twitter and complain with people, but you don't represent the majority of sports fans out there. Beyond finding a middle ground on revenue sharing, the unions say players' highest priorities are housing, retirement benefits, and facilities and team staffing requirements. The league's last proposal included higher 401k contributions, a recognition payment for current retirees, that's nice, and access for recently retired players to player programs as well as team staffing requirements. The league is doing what they need to do here. It's just the players are just being selfish and they live in this fantasy world where somehow they deserve a revenue share when the reality is you're just getting on the map. People are paying attention to the WNBA. However, you're turning fans off now. And if you don't get a deal done soon after seeing this today, by the way, like I said, the increase in the base salary. They're going to be making an average of $465,000. They're proposing a max base salary of just over a million. And yeah, so you're going to have a raise in your annual salary as a WMA player. Why wouldn't you take that? And if you're complaining about housing, medical insurance, you can't afford those things on that type of money. You want more? Just sickening. Ken Swift had to say here the WNBA didn't offer a counter proposal for 6 weeks because they said the players' latest proposal was almost exactly the same as the previous one, but the players expected a counter. So here we are 6 weeks later, and it seems like the WNBA did exactly what the players did previously. A proposal that barely changed. Players want 30% of the gross. The current deal is a deal on the net equivalent to about 15%. I think we're at a stalemate, and it will not come down to whether or not all those AU players they just met with are really ready to strike, which I think they're not, and give up the massive increase in income that's currently on the table, but not what they had asked for. I think the unrivaled players can afford to. Not sure the AU players can. And I don't think the college players can either. And I don't think the college players can survive on a strike either because unless you have an endorsement deal set up, you're just not going to get paid. So you're just go somewhere else and play basketball. That's a disaster. The Players Association just needs to get it together and sign the deal. At this point, we see the numbers. You're gaslighting folks saying, pay us what you owe us, when in reality, you are subsidized by the NBA and by investors. And if those entities are not involved, you don't have a league. You don't even exist. So just sign, let's play basketball because the longer it continues to drag out, man, the image they have already created for themselves, they look entitled, they look spoiled, and they act as if they deserve all this money, when in reality, they don't. Hope you guys enjoy my thoughts and reactions to the recent proposal from the WNBA. What do you think is going to happen next? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.